going to go for a walk to an archaeological site today.
Oh, the old boat. This is the copra drying racks. We've arrived on the other side of the hill, and this is the oldest archaeological site, French Polynesia, right here. You just happened to bring the machete.
Yeah,
No shops out here, but you can always have a drink if you bring the machete.
They're hard to open when they're not green. I know it's not a green coconut, but
Look at this.
it'll do.
Give it a go. Ooh.
It's beautiful. There you go, babe. You have some.
No, go for it.
All of it?
Yeah. Man provides for his woman.
And I got a bit of stuff to eat. That is beautiful. So sweet.
There you go. Husked and open.
Beautiful, that one.
There you go.
Is that for me as well?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
A half, I want some.
Just a little bit. It's so full. Look,
Yeah, I know.
pouring out. Cheers. It's delicious, thank you. You have some. How's that?
Oh, delicious.
It's so cute.
Oh. Yum, yum.
All that hard work.
There you go, a bit of lunch, man.
Oh, thank you. Yummo. Look at that beautiful, thick coconut. Bay of Anaho or Nuka. We're heading around the corner to the main town. We're going to provision. Good Friday yesterday. It is Easter Saturday today. We're motor sailing just to get out of the bay. But look at that, cool. Hello, hello. What you doing?
G'day. Bit of an outboard service. Well, not a real service, just changing the old plugs. I've got these titanium ones in Mexico, so I figure I'll change them, and it's running a little bit rough on low revs, so I'll give the carby an adjustment for the low RPM adjustment, and just give it a bit of a once over and just lube and grease and make sure everything's all tickety-boo. She's 25 years old-ish, so yeah, she needs a bit of TLC, a bit of WD-40. So I'll spray a bit of WD-40 on it. I always like to cover things in WD-40. It's worked on my chainsaws and all my outboard engines, so yeah, that's what I'm up to.
Last night Magnus got up, he heard the rain and he leapt out of bed, closed all the ports, emptied water out of the dinghy, got the water going into the tank for the first time, and I just slept through the whole lot. I didn't hear anything, so yeah, it was busy. Oh, might have to help with the sails in a minute because we're going pretty fast. So yeah, now we've got a tank full of water, which is fantastic. We've arrived at the biggest town in the Marquesas. There are about 30 boats here, lots of cats. Apparently there's a bakery here, a few supermarkets or magazines, and a few little restaurants. It's supposed to be a Sunday market, but I don't know if it'll be on Easter Sunday. And they also have a Wednesday and Saturday market with fresh produce in the morning. So I think we missed that one, but you never know. We're going to have a look. Okay, we can see the fruit, we just can't get at it. Oh well, it's because it's Easter. Yeah, there's all shutting up. Look. There's 50 boats in this little anchorage, and most of the shops are now shut and they won't open until Tuesday. And this was the place that we were going to provision, so I guess we might be here till Tuesday. It's Saturday today. Barry from the Adventures of a Salty Seadog is on board. He's come to look at Peanut.
That's just from going up on the beach.
That's his little one. He's going to go for a test drive.
Yep. Well, we'll have that cup of tea.
Yeah, no,
yeah, we'll put kettle on.
Tea or coffee?
Tea, please, in this heat, I think.
Just getting our provisioning. Managed to find beer. Some onions. How much? That's not bad. Hardly worth it. What else have we got in there?
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms would be nice. Are they
$8.
very expensive? No. So we've got frozen meat. Chocolate. Beer. Yep, going for basics. Done our provisioning. This is the dinghy dock. And they have these steps here. So all the dinghies use the one set of steps. Everybody has very long painters. And yeah, it gets quite interesting. Huh, look. What are we doing, babe?
Just going to get some fuel.
Fuel with the jerrys.
Yeah.
Okey-dokes. This is where we are. Nuka Hiva. See? Okay, jerry jugging. A long way down. This is fun. Let's go. Sample.
Sample. Diesel.
Diesel.
Oui. Perfect.
Yeah.
So, first load,
Yeah.
chuck these in nutshell, and then come back. So we've got some spares. Gotta have spares. Got it?
Yep.
Cool. So we now have fuel, and unleaded fuel and diesel fuel. Wow, look at the size of that. It's huge. Home sweet home.
Going over to the old salty sea dog himself, Barry, and went up for dinner with him last night, and just going to have a chat about his 71-day crossing from Panama, and find out what took him so long. It'll be interesting. Get some stories from him.
There he is. We've got the old dueling cameras. I think last time we had that was on the narrowboats.
Yeah.
Got him. Okay. Yay! So what's happening here, darling?
We are on White Shadow in Nuka, Hiva, in Tiawanayataya, and we are having a coffee with Baz. It's coffee with Baz morning. We're going to have a bit of a chat about his latest voyage, which was epic, known as Baz's epic voyage in the annals of history. That's what it would be called, I think. So we'll find out a bit more soon. Stay tuned.
Peanut's got a new home.
Yeah.
It's now got a different name too. What's the name?
Tiny Shaddy.
Tiny Shaddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to live another day.
Oh, she looks good up there, mate.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
looks perfect.
Yeah, she looks good. You probably think you sold it to me too cheap.
Action.
So many times we've forgotten to turn the bloody mic on.
She was a bigger dead cat than I've got.
That was given to us by some other YouTubers in England, in London. Kath and Anna. Anyway, enough chatting. Here we are. We're on White Shadow in Nuka, Hiva, Marquesas with Barry, the old salty sea dog himself.
I am a bit salty and I'm a bit old as well, yeah. That's true.
So yeah, good to
Nice
meet
to
you,
see
mate.
you. We're drinking
Yeah.
coffee, incidentally.
Yeah.
It's too early for
It's not even laced with any rum.
No.
But we went out last night for a pizza and we had fish and chicken. We're just out here with some friends having our first dinner in Nika Hiva. We were going to go for a pizza, but we found this joint, so we're going to give it a crack. And I said to Barry, I'd love to chat to you about your crossing, because those of you out there that don't know, because a lot of you do, Barry had a bit of an eventful trip, or uneventful trip, I should say, from Panama over to Marquesas. And a lot of you were asking about Barry, and a lot of comments came in and said, have you seen it? I thought, who's Barry? And then I remembered, because I've watched a few of Barry's videos, I remembered he had left Panama and no one had heard from him. So tell us a bit about your trip, Barry.
Well, I think people have seen it. It's on Adventures of an Old Seadog, the series. Of what happened. Basically, I set off with good intentions from Panama, and we were at the Perlis Islands. A friend of mine, Easy Mike, and I, him on his boat and me on mine. He shot off to Colombia, I think it was, with some friends. And I set off, and the wind went down. I mean, the weather forecast, everything was okay. As you know, you can only really tell for about 6 days in advance. And the weather just turned bad on me. The winds wouldn't let me go towards Galapagos. The plan was never to go to Galapagos, but sail past them.
So you were heading north or south?
North.
North, okay.
Because of the lack of wind, I looked at the currents, and that said, and other people agreed, that if you did a sort of snake kind of course and followed the currents, they'd whip you around the top of Galapagos and down to the trades. So that was the plan, but that didn't happen. It took me 19 days to get to Galapagos. Then I got down, I crossed the equator Christmas Day, as it was.
All right.
So that was a sort of a biggie for me, the first time I'd been across the equator. And then things just started to go wrong. The weather was up and the wind was down. The sea had prominence, if you like, or power over the wind, and the boat was at the behest of the waves, and the weather was coming from behind. I have hydrovane, which is brilliant, but no wind vane system will work with a light wind from behind the boat, so I had to manually steer. And at night, of course, I had the boat, I just had to heave to and lie across the waves.
Yeah. Wow.
That was pretty much the whole trip.
Really? But nothing went wrong with the rigging, or?
Well,
So
I mean,
you weren't actually in danger out there.
Not really danger. No, nothing terrible happened. The worst thing that did happen was I noticed a pin that holds the forestay up, which is the main wire that holds the front wire that holds the mast up. If you don't know what that is, that was coming loose, and I was within half an inch of coming out of its fitting, so I was that close to possibly losing the mast. Then that would have changed the situation from being a sort of hunker down, bear it thing to being a question of survival. And an emergency.
But food and water wise,
food and water was good. I'd stocked up for weeks in advance to continue on past where we are now in the Marquesas. So I was fine. So I was safe and sound. This boat is a great boat, a solid, heavy boat, great in rough weather. But she sails like a bus with wobbly wheels. Or not at all if there's no wind, which was really what the problem was. And of course, the slower I went, I got growth on the bottom of the boat, so I had 4 inches of growth on the bottom. Of the boat.
Barry showed me some of the video of the growth on the bottom. Wow, it was like a botanical garden down there.
I should have eaten some.
Incredible, yeah. There was a whole microsystem down there that was carried across from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere pretty well.
I know.
It was incredible, and that does slow you down. I mean, it takes half your speed, I reckon.
I reckon it must have. I just couldn't. Whatever I did, I couldn't get the boat to move.
Yeah.
And then the winds were in the wrong direction when they came. There was huge. I had huge swell for I think 4 weeks, something like that. I can't remember that without looking at my. Just constant swell.
Rolly?
Rolly. Well, it was 3 to 5 meters, I reckon.
Really?
Yeah, but all the time 3 meter swells at least.
From the southeast?
From directly behind me, so it's coming from the east.
East, yeah. That's annoying.
And there's a 2-knot current, so that was actually coming past me when I was doing 1.5 knots. I averaged 2.5 knots in the 71 days.
And so I could have 3,000 miles.
Nearly 4.
Nearly
I did 4,800 and something miles.
Wow, that's an epic journey.
I could have swum it faster. I will next time.
Wow. And what was I going to say? I just thought of something to say, but everyone's used to me forgetting stuff.
Well, that's all right. I was going to say Magnus is an old friend. It's not because I've known him a long time. It's just that he's old. You know?
Yeah, that's right. I was something I was going to ask. It'll come to me.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's.
What about when you arrived, the airplane?
That's what I was going to ask about. What's this about an aeroplane that came out and spotted you?
Well, everybody.
Tell us about that.
Everybody's back home. I mean, I have a friend of mine who's coxswain. That's the skipper of the Plymouth lifeboat back in England, who's my eyes on shore, and I told him 50 days. And of course, by the sort of 60-something days, him and my family were worried and contacted the emergency service in England, Falmouth, which is like an international rescue centre, and they contacted the French authorities here, which then sent out a Learjet. So I'm sitting below, feeling sorry for myself, and I heard this, whoa! And then this voice on the radio, hello, hello, hello. Are you okay out there, Englishman? So yeah, so they.
And that was your first contact.
Yeah, that was my first.
Left.
No, I talked to. I had 2 helicopters fly over me near the Galapagos from fishing boats.
Uh-huh.
And then a Venezuelan fishing boat captain had a long radio conversation with him.
All right.
But since the Galapagos area,
That was your first contact?
that was my first contact. I
Wow.
hadn't spoke to anybody.
That must have been incredible to see that fly over.
I tell you what, I was a bit emotional.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was very emotional, yeah.
That's because you would have also had the feeling that the only reason that plane's there is people were thinking about
Well,
you.
I thought, I did. That was, you're exactly right. I didn't feel alone anymore.
No.
And B, I knew there were people.
And now they
thinking
knew
about-
that you were okay.
Yeah, and that was the main
Yeah,
thing. And
yeah.
when I contacted the guy, I'm like, please tell everybody.
Yeah.
I'm saying, because I used to work for the rescue services in England.
Yeah.
So I knew what I had to tell this guy, because I was embarrassed, a bit.
Yeah, of course.
That I'd caused all this kerfuffle, but glad of it. But I told the guys, I'm fine. I didn't want to put people out, cost money, and because it cost a fortune to fly. Luckily, they didn't feel. I'm thinking, are they going to send me the fuel bill for a Learjet to fly 200 miles out and 200 miles back? Because I was only 200 miles offshore then.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm fine. The 4 or 5 days I'll be in.
But 200 miles for one of them is like 3 minutes.
Yeah. It was a little. I think it was a weekend. It's a little Sunday drive out for him.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic, mate. That's a wonderful story, and because once we heard that you were lost at sea, or not lost at sea, we heard from our viewers that there was concern. I did a bit of research, and that's when we heard, he hasn't shown up.
Yes.
And when we heard news back pretty quick once you got here on the radio network and on the cruiser network is like the grapevine of the world. If someone farts in the Falklands, you hear about it in New Guinea within seconds.
That's a title for your book on retirement. Fart in the Falklands.
That happened actually.
Sorry about that, viewers. When the camera person laughs, the camera goes up. Actually, I got to. Actually, what you were just talking about, I just got to look at the camera and say, to your followers, thank you so much for your concern. Those that did write in and ask about me, thank you very much for your concern. Much appreciated, really. Thank you.
Cheers.
I'd like to put something in. How
turn around?
How did we meet this man? Because no one said how we met him.
How did we meet, Barry?
I'm as old as you. I've forgotten. It was only a couple of days ago. I can't remember. I think I was sitting doing internet. Oh, I was internet.
Yeah, we were up at, and you know what he thought? He said, "Oh, are you a Kiwi?" He says to me.
Bad start.
So that wasn't a good start at all. I said,
So
so you're an Irishman then?
Yeah. And the F word was exchanged possibly a couple of times between us.
And when that happens to two people and the F words exchange, you're instantly mates.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't have to really worry about saying anything else because you've already got rid of all the unpleasantries.
Yes, that's right.
So we met. You were doing a bit of editing and uploading.
Editing, I was uploading because I had. Because again, like you, I'm into the wilds and the woolly blue yonder, and there's no internet.
Nothing.
Some people don't understand back in the old world. There's no internet. It's not like being at home. So I'm having to upload my new series, which is like 10 videos immediately.
Yeah.
So it's taking forever.
And there'll be a link, as
thank you.
people
Yes.
say. There'll be a link to Barry's channel down there. So go and have a look. He's some good stuff. It's an interesting story that started in Plymouth, continued on down the French and Spanish coast over to the islands, across the other gap, the Atlantic, on through the Caribbean and Curacao, and down, met a few other YouTubers along the way, through Panama, and then onwards to here pretty well. So it's a great story.
That's an incredible journey. Who did that?
I don't know.
We should have done that.
So go and check his channel out. It's bloody good.
Thank you.
So cheers, mate.
Yeah, cheers.
Thanks for coffee. Thanks for the
you're welcome.
the laughs and hospitality, because we're off today.
Yeah, they're off. See, we've become friends and they're buggering off.
It's typical of cruising.
Throw some more F words at you in a minute. How dare you leave without permission?
This cruising life is full of g'day and goodbye. You meet people and you say goodbye and you catch up again a year later, a month later, whatever it is. So we'll most probably catch up with Barry again down in the Tour Motors. Seems everyone you talk to here is on their way there or have just been there. But majority are on the way there, and we'll sort of catch up in another bay somewhere else. Go for a dive or
Looking
have a
forward to
beer
it.
or whatever it is.
Well, all those things.
Yeah.
All
All right.
those things.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers now.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Thank you.